This is where we cut open Nollywood, the complex magic-making machine, and bring into your homes the various aspects of the vibrant movie industry. I am Kayode, and this is Nollywood Uncut. Glad you could join us. He is definitely one of the third generation directors, a new author who you might think he's only made about 6 films because those were the box office hits. Quam's Money, Camberley, the whole 30 years, Fate of Alakada, Sugar Rush, just to mention a few. Please sit back and meet up close and personal. Kayode, Kasumu. I really want to thank you for taking time out. In fact, you just premiered yesterday, so you must have been having hungover from the celebrations. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Now, let's, for especially for people, young authors looking at what you've done so far, how did you get to where we are today?
A lot of hard work and just believing in stories, man. I really love telling stories, and I did not start as a director. I started as an editor at Wale Adenuga Productions. I edited there for a year. Then I picked a couple of skills in animation, and I worked for African cable television, which was a new decoder platform at the time. I was there for 2 years plus. Then again, I went to an advertising agency. I learned a different part of the skill. All this while, you should know that my basic training was in filmmaking. But as a young Nigerian, trying to find your steps, you kind of have to use the different skills that you have to put something on the table. And when I mean put something on the table, is to feed as a Lagosian, as a Nigerian. So gradually learning and being diligent and disciplined through these different forms of telling stories that I've worked in. I one day just had the courage to say I want to make my first film, and I have been making films since then.
Question that you'll normally talk about if and when they write a book about you, you appear in one of the books, is what is your own angle of translating words into pictures, motion pictures?
My own angle of translating words into pictures would be, is it true? That's always been my, for lack of a better word, I'll say motto. Is it true? So if I read a script and in this script, it's not possible that this certain character is doing certain things, I cannot interpret it into real life because I do not believe in it. So first of all, for me, my process in answering that question is it must always be the truth. If the dialogue is true, if what the actor is doing is true, if this film I'm making can relate with somebody else, can resonate with an audience member, if it can resonate with an audience member, then yes, that's the first step for me. It has to be true, and if it's true, my actor can understand it's true, and if it's true, my audience will know it's true, and they will fall in love with whatever that film is doing.
Now, not stepping down, you will understand when I say you have been working with A-listers. How do they see you, and how do you relate with working with A-listers when they haven't really worked with you before, even heard that some wouldn't have heard about you?
First, I try not to recognize it. Even some of what people will call my success, I have not really processed that information yet. I always just see myself as that first guy who wanted to make a film and know that no one believed in. I've always seen myself like that. So every single time people say you work with a lot of A-listers, in my head, I just work with people who love telling stories just like I do, and we work together to tell the stories. I've never seen an actor or a producer as an A-lister. It's just been a colleague who wants to make this film with me. We're making this film together. So I have not processed it. People say it, I do not recognize it, I don't see it. I just enjoy making films. So the more I'll be working, let's say for instance in the future, amen, if I'm working with Brad Pitt, I will just see Brad Pitt as an actor. I will not see him as Brad Pitt. What that does is it helps me in telling good stories. So I'm not saying, instead of me to say, so in my head, I will not say, Brad Pitt or Fowles. And people would like to see Fowles do this. No, it's people would like to see this character do this. And that process has kind of helped me so far.
Now, let's take the spotlight just a bit away from you. You know, we've been talking about you. Let's go to the industry in general and say, how do you see the challenges being faced by the industry as a whole now? And what's your take on, say, the next 10 years of Nollywood?
Challenges will be there is not enough infrastructure for the industry to reach its full potential. What that means is we have 200 million people, and the films that we kind of like to call big films only get to be seen maybe by 20,000 Nigerians, sometimes 70,000 Nigerians, sometimes 200,000 Nigerians. That's like, and the biggest film in Nollywood box office, Chief Daddy or Wedding Party 2, if I'm wrong, only 350,000 Nigerians got to see it in cinema. Out of a country of 200 million people, sorry. There's something wrong. There's a distribution problem. If that can be solved, then we can have investment. Bankers will invest. Private institutions will invest in Nollywood. So one thing that we always say is there's not enough money in Nollywood. I don't think that's the problem. There's not enough infrastructure. If Nollywood can be like Bollywood, and you release a film and just 20 million Nigerians watch it, Hollywood will come. We will be bigger than Hollywood if our people can pay and even have the access to watch our films. That's our problem. It's not money, it's the infrastructure. If that infrastructure can be solved, every single filmmaker will be a billionaire in Africa. When it comes to money, you won't go to Hollywood, you will come to Nigeria. But when it comes to, making noise and making beautiful pictures, you know where to go to. But that's our problem, our infrastructure. And until the right people can help us solve it, because it's not one man's work, until the right people can collaborate and try to solve it, Nollywood is going to be like crude oil. And that's the truth.
You mentioned beautiful pictures. I would ask an actor, even the top A-listers, I ask them, I say, you've done almost everything, 200 movies or whatever. What role do you want to play that you haven't played? What picture would you like to make that you've always woken up or go to bed dreaming about that? Look, just take me to Hollywood. This is what I want to do.
I would like to make one film. I would like to make. Hopefully, I get to do it soon. Is a musical. I would like to shoot a musical in Nigeria, in Africa, man. It's one thing I've always dreamed about because I know it is capital intensive. It will take a lot of money to do, but hopefully one day I get to make a musical.
Okay. Now let's soften it a bit and say, you are known as a behind-the-scenes person, so we don't know what's your hangout like when you're not working with cameras, working with actors, working with lights. What are you like in person?
Lots of video games, and I am a very, very introverted person. If I am not, it's sad that this is going to be my answer. If I'm not playing video games, I'm watching films, I'm in the cinema. I mean, matter of fact, immediately after this interview, I'm going to the cinema to watch a film. So yes, that's just it. Maybe I will put hanging out with friends, but then again, my friends are filmmakers, so film is the life for now.
All right, I'd like to thank you very much for taking time
Thank you,
out of
sir.
your busy schedule, even though you're going to see a movie next. But thank you for having us.
Thank you for having me on your show. It was really great. Thank you, sir.